Alright, limit problems. Actually finding limits algebraically. These are fun little puzzles. So problem number 44. Fraction in a fraction problem. Anytime you have a fraction in a fraction problem, you want to look at that supernumerator first and get a common denominator between those terms. Our goal here is to find a whole and remove it. So if I want a common denominator, 2 over 3 minus x, minus, I'm going to turn that 1, I want to have a denominator of 3 minus x, which means I need to have a 3 minus x in the top as well, because 3 minus x over 3 minus x is equal to 1, so I've just replaced this with that. Totally legal. A lot of you forget at this point that you still have a denominator down there. Don't forget that. I'm just working with the numerator to see what I get. All right, so I have 2 minus 3 minus x, and so you have to put parentheses there. If you don't, you are making an algebraic mistake and you will get the wrong answer. You have to distribute that minus to both terms. So I get 2, let's not do that, let's say 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and then distribute that minus into that negative x, making it a positive x. So this becomes a negative 1 plus x is just a silly way of writing x minus 1. So I have x minus 1 over 3 minus x. So a lot of you get here, you get the common denominator, you get that, and then you're like, all right, well, let's now see what happens. Plug in 1, and you're like, oh, okay, I get 1, so I get 0 in the top, so this is just going to be 0. No, this is all still over that 3 times x minus 3. So I need to put that 3 times x minus 3 down there, but I'm going to factor out that 3 and write it as x minus 1, because now you should see an x minus 1 there and an x minus 1 there, and oh man, those things are really trying to cancel each other out, but maybe you can't quite see it right now. So let's rewrite this as x minus 1 over 3 minus x right there. And instead of then taking that fraction, x minus 1 over 3 minus x, instead of dividing that thing by 3 times x minus 1, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of it, which means I'm going to multiply by 1 over 3 times x minus 1. Totally algebraically legal, same exact thing. And now you should see that I have an x minus 1 up top and an x minus 1 in the bottom that will cancel each other. So I'm left with just that 3 minus x denominator times that 3 right there, and I'm just left with a 1 in the top. So this just becomes 1 over 3 times 3 minus x like that. And now we can finally plug in our limiting x value, the 1, and I get 1 over 3 times 3 minus 1, which means I get 1 over 6.